Section number 8 of Robinson Crusoe, in words of one syllable. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information, or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by René Lacroix. Robinson Crusoe, in words of one syllable, by Lucy Aikin. Section number 8. Then he told me, as well as he could, how kind they had been to some white men. I brought out the large boat to hear what he thought of it, but he said it was too small. We then went to look at the old ship's boat, which, as it had been in the sun for years, was not at all in a sound state. The poor man made sure that it would do, but how were we to know this? I told him we should build a boat as large as that, and that he should go home in it. He spoke not a word, but was grave and sad. "What ails you?" said I. "Why, you grieve mad with your man." "What do you mean? I am not cross with you." "No cross with me. Why send your man home to his own land, then?" "Did you not tell me you would like to go back?" Yes, we both there. No wish self there, if you not there." "And what should I do there?" "You do great deal much good. You teach wild men be good men. You tell them know God, pray God, and lead new life." We soon set to work to make a boat that would take us both. The first thing was to look out for some large trees that grew near the shore, so that we could launch our boat when it was made. My slave's plan was to burn the wood to make it the right shape, but as mine was to hew it, I set him to work with my tools, and in 2 months' time we had made a good strong boat, but it took a long while to get her down to the shore. Friday had the whole charge of her, and large as she was, he made her move with ease, and said, "He thought she go there well, though great blow wind." He did not know that I meant to make a mast and a sail. I cut down a young fir tree for the mast, and then I set to work at the sail. It made me laugh to see my man stand and stare when he came to watch me sail the boat. But he soon gave a jump, a laugh, and a clap of the hands when he saw the sail jibe and fall, first on this side, and then on that. The next thing to do was to stow our boat up in the creek, where we dug a small dock, and when the tide was low we made a dam to keep out the sea. The time of year had now come for us to set sail, so we got out all our stores to put them in the boat. One day I sent Friday to the shore to get a sort of herb that grew there. I soon heard him cry out to me, "Oh, grief! Oh, bad! Oh, bad! Oh, out there, boats! 1, 2, 3! Keep a stout heart," said I, to cheer him. The poor man shook with fear, for he thought that the men who brought him here had now come back to kill him. "Can you fight?" said I. "Me shoot, but me saw 3 boats, 1, 2, 3. "Have no fear. Those that we do not kill will be sure to take fright at the sound of our guns. Now, will you stand by me and do just as you are bid?" "Me die when you bid die." I gave him a good draught of rum, and when he had drunk this, he took up an axe and 2 guns, each of which had a charge of swan shot. I took 2 guns as well, and put large shot in them, and then hung my great sword by my side. From the top of the bill I saw, with the help of my glass, that the boats had each brought 8 men and 1 slave. They had come on shore near the creek, where a grove of young trees grew close down to the sea. They had with them 3 slaves, bound hand and foot, and you who read this may guess what they were brought here for. I felt that I must try and save them from so hard a fate, and that to do this I should have to put some of their foes to death. So we set forth on our way. I gave Friday strict charge to keep close to me, and not to fire till I told him to do so. We went full a mile out of our way, that we might get round to the wood to bide there. But we had not gone far, when my old qualms came back to me, and I thought, "Is it for me to dip my hands in man's blood? Why should I kill those who have done me no harm, and mean not to hurt me, nay, who do not so much as know that they are in the wrong, when they hold these feasts? Are not their ways a sign that God has left them, with the rest of their tribe, to their own dull hearts? God did not call me to be a judge for him. He who said, "Thou shalt not kill," said it for me, as well as the rest of the world. A throng of thoughts like these would rush on my mind, as if to warn me to pause till I felt sure that there was more to call me to the work than I then knew of. I took my stand in the wood to watch the men at their feast, and then crept on, with Friday close at my heels. Thus we went till we came to the skirts of the wood. Then I said to Friday, "Go up to the top of that tree, and bring me word if you can see the men." He went, and quick as thought came back to say that they were all around the fire, and that the man who was bound on the sand would be the next they would kill. But when he told me that it was a white man, one of my own race, I felt the blood boil in my veins. 2 of the gang had gone to loose the white man from his bonds, so now was the time to fire. At the sound of our guns we saw all the men jump up from the ground where they sat. It must have been the first guns that they had heard in their lives. They knew not which way to look. I now threw down my piece and took up a small gun. Friday did the same, and I gave him the word to fire. The men ran right and left, with yells and screams. I now made a rush out of the wood, that they might see me, with my man Friday at my heels, of course. We gave a loud shout and ran up to the white man as fast as we could. There he lay on the hot sand. I cut the flag, or rush, by which he was bound, but he was too weak to stand or speak, so I gave him some rum. He let me know by all the signs that he could think of how much he stood in my debt for all that I had done for him. I said, "We will talk of that by and by, but now we must do what we can to save our lives." Friday, who was free to go where he chose, flew here and there and put all the men to the rout. They fled in full haste to their boats and were soon out at sea, and so we got rid of our foes at last. The man whom we had found on the sand told us that his name was Carl, and that he came from Spain. But there was one more man to claim our care, for the black men had left a small boat on the sands, and in this I saw a poor wretch who lay half dead. He could not so much as look up, so tight was he bound, neck and heels. When I cut the bonds from him he gave a deep groan, for he thought that all this was but to lead him out to die. Friday then came up, and I bade him speak to the old man in his own tongue, and tell him that he was free. This good news gave him strength, and he sat up in the boat. But when Friday came to hear him talk, and to look him in the face, it brought the tears to my eyes to see him kiss and hug the poor old man, and dance round him with joy, then weep, wring his hands, and beat his own face and head, and then laugh once more, sing and leap. For a long time he could not speak to me so as to let me know what all this meant. But at length he told me that he was the son of this poor old man, and that his name was Jaff. It would be a hard task for me to tell of all the quaint signs Friday made to show his joy. He went in and out of the boat 5 or 6 times, sat down by old Jaff, and held the poor old man's head close to his breast to warm it. Then he set to work and rubbed his arms and feet, which were cold and stiff from the bonds. I told Friday to give him some rum and bread, but he said, "None. Bad dog eat all up self." He then ran off straight to the house and took no heed of my calls, but went as swift as a deer. In an hour's time he came back with a jug in his hand. The good soul had gone all the way to the house, that Jaff might have a fresh draught from my well, and with it he brought 2 cakes, one of which I bade him take to Carl, who lay in the shade of a tree. His limbs were stiff and cold, and he was too weak to say a word. I set my man to rub his feet with rum, and while he did so I saw Friday turn his head round from time to time to steal a look at the old man. Then we brought Carl and Jaff home from the boat on our backs, as they could not walk. The door of my house was at the top, and the poor sick men could not climb the steps by which I had got in, so we made for them a tent of old sails. I was now a king of these 3 men, as well as lord of the isle, and I felt proud to say, they all owe their lives to their king, and would lay them down for him if he bade them do so. But I did not think that my reign was so soon come to an end. The next thing for us to do was to give Carl and Jaff some food, and to kill and roast a kid, to which we all 4 sat down, and I did my best to cheer them. Carl in a few days grew quite strong, and I set him to work to dig some land for seed. for it was clear we should want more corn now that we had 2 more mouths to fill. So we put in the ground all the stock of grain I had, and thus we all 4 had as much work as we could do for some time. When the crop grew and was ripe, we found we had a good store of grain. We made a plan that Carl and Jav should go back to the mainland, to try if they could get some of the white men who had been cast on shore there to come and live with us. So they got out of the bed, and took with them 2 guns and food for 8 days. They were to come back in a week's time, and I bade them hang out a sign when they came in sight, so that we might know who they were. End of Section 8. Recording by René Lacroix, Woodstock, Ontario, Canada.